Hello,
Live.
we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UbiPost Q&A 128. Wow, the number is getting bigger and bigger, um,
Yeah.
and we are getting closer and closer to Christmas, which is interesting. Um, and next year, yeah, that scares me even more that we are getting in 2024. But anyway, let's just head on straight to the news. And before starting with the big one, we can start with some Snap news.
Yeah, sure. So, what I have been tweaking in my little like garage laboratory or whatever you want to call it is further enhancements in Snap support and making sure that snaps work properly well. They're now able to run with libhybris drivers so that when you install a snap which uses OpenGL onto an Android or a libhybris based Ubuntu Touch device. Oh, someone forgot to turn on the do not disturb here. Sorry. Um, so now it's possible to use libhybris drivers inside of Snap applications so that OpenGL ES works properly well, and it even allowed me to make sure that Yamagi Quake 2, the Quake 2 engine, the open source one, runs properly on it. I tried it on the Jingpad, and I really I smiled when I got that to work. So it's working properly now, and I really enjoy seeing that a few changes here there can improve the experience very much, and so much so that I have pushed the enablement patches for snaps in Snapd at least. I've pushed them to a repository on GitLab for anyone interested. That's on gitlab.com/ubiports. You can find it under Snapd. So there have been a few changes brewing, making sure that it works, and also it also allows password based um, like authentication inputs through Polkit now.
Ooh.
So that one is a pre-requirement for making sure that you don't require sudo to install a package. You can also use the Polkit agent to type in your password, or maybe in the future using other authentication mechanisms. Who knows, right? But this is a first great step towards having Snap support and also better system integration of various components completed. Like for example, systemd also can make use of this for enabling SSH or other things on demand using your password, but without requiring sudo. So that is something to keep in mind. And yeah, that's pretty much a little update about the Snap adventure, so to say, on Ubuntu Touch.
Oh, also, I will take an adventure uh, track also before I go into the big one.
Yeah.
So I've been having some adventures together with some community members on VLT. So we have been experimenting with VLT and going different paths and going different routes and testing a lot of different ways of configuring it and setting it up. And I think now we are on a good track, and I hope that we are uh, maybe approaching the right way of doing it. Um, so what we are researching and what we're trying to achieve is to use the existing interface from Qualcomm and MediaTek to set up WLT and call through that. That's the shortest route, and we hope to get that. Uh, it is a little bit of poking around and touching and seeing what works and what not. That's why it's it's hard to any sort of estimate at all of where this is going. Like
Yeah.
it can happen within a week and it can happen within a year. Like it's we hope for the first one, of course. But if I have a realistic estimate and if everything goes well, I will see we have something at the start of next year.
Mm,
Um,
that sounds like an idea.
and at the same time, a bonus is that I got 5G to work because we had to upgrade a lot of components, and I I also touched around a lot with that, and a lot of components that I had to add 5G support to in our
Yeah.
stack. All that is now done. So hopefully in OTA 4 we can have 5G on some selected devices.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That
well,
sounds like, I mean, we have a few people who want to play around with 5G on their devices, and they were not able to do so yet. So this sounds like a great opportunity to jump in soon.
yeah, for sure. And if anyone wants to try out 5G now, there is the focal on the focal underscore our branch thingy.
Yeah,
It's like the 5G that we have up that should get it working, but you need some config files and all that to change that. So if someone wants to try out, ping me and I can just forward you the instruction on how to
yeah,
get it working.
yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to showcase how this looks. This password prompt thingy
Ooh.
here. So this is basically the password prompt. It brights up a lot right now. So, but you can enter your password, and this is the Polkit agent taking over the request. So, oh, with that being said, with all the experiments that we're having, I also resurrected um, one of your changes regarding decoration support on Qt Mirror. I resurrected one of those Marios.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we need it probably for all the Snap stuff going forward, because some applications, especially the GTK ones, they still don't present themselves properly yet.
Yeah.
So we might need to do some trickery here or there, but it's at least on the plate, and let's see where it goes, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Then we will jump right into the special one, which this episode will be all about. It's Focal Autotree. Focal
Yeah.
Autotree is out. Finally, it's
Have you
out.
heard this?
What?
Have you heard this?
Have
It's
you
out.
heard this? It's out. It's the new. It's the news.
The news, the shiny.
Shiny. So let's quickly go over all the Autotree improvements that has happened over the months. Uh, so
Mm.
there is a lot of changes here, but I will quickly skim through them, and then we can go more in depth afterwards. But in the new features one, uh, this is the first release that has support for PinePhone, PinePhone Pro, PineTab, and I think PineTab Pro 2. And I think this is a PinePhone. Um, I'm pretty sure it's a PineTab Pro here too.
The pine,
Um,
yeah, possibly.
Next to that, there is Content Hub has both API and a security fix. Hefty service / Lomiri system settings restore the ability to disable migrations from notifications and other applications. Switch primary APN database to Lineage OS APN from mobile broadband provider information. This is a nice one, because the Lineage OS database is a lot more up to date
Oh
in the
yeah,
APN research here.
yeah.
Location service re-add GPSD provider. This is something that I made a while back, and it's for PinePhone and mainline devices. Uh, Location service expose client dbus property to be queried by the Lumira shell. So location server clients can be granted some computation time for updating location data. This is GPS and how clients can receive more information. The Lumiri keyboard has had improvements and added support for Arrow, Bengal, Transitional, and Persian. Uh, System settings has reworked UI and menu structure for security and privacy pages. System settings reflect channel changes on update settings page. And here's one from Alfred, primarily Snap support.
Yeah.
A messaging app implementing search within conversation. Morph browser, this has removed the peaker search engine from listed available one. Handle failback browser, failback to browser's default engine, DuckDuckGo. Toggle switch for mobile desktop mode has been added in the main menu. Checkbox for auto-loading images added to settings and upgraded to Qt Web Engine 5.15.15.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we,
A
we,
lot
we still need to keep up with the Qt Web Engine changes here or there. So glad that I think that one was done by Rachanan mostly.
yes.
So heads off again. We need those kinds of things all over the place, right? Especially with a browser that we ship. So good that we have up to date software.
Yeah, that is amazing. And let's continue through the list. Qtmere has added support for DSI as an external display option that fixes shell rotation on PinePhone devices, and also re-enable support for a Content Hub based clipboard, resolve copy pasting between apps. Qtmere/Wayland adjust calculation of available display size from Android apps. This is for Waydroid, so now it doesn't cut off the button bar anymore.
Oh yeah.
Prevent Lumiri and Lumiri system capacitor from dying when running out of memory. I think that one is from you, Alfred.
Yeah, right. That one was a quite an annoying one because I was I was playing around with the Halium QSG enablement and doing that with a benchmark app, which quickly ran out the whole RAM available to the device, and it also killed Lamiri with it. So I've managed to find out what was the causing the issue there, and it was basically just adapting a system D property for the services, so that they out of memory the last that they get out of memory killed the last in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. And there has been a lot of translation updates. A
Oh yeah.
huge thank to all the translator or translators out there that has done all this work. And the Fairphone 4 and Pixel 3a has specific enablement for Halium QSG. This one was told from Alfred 2, and it greatly improves the performance. It has like 10x performance during GPU texture uploads.
Oh yeah.
And that was just,
Yeah, that's maybe one of the more like my favorite ones, to be honest, because performance is always good to see improving here.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
but 10 times improvement is unheard of.
So that was some of the upgrades. I'm not going to go through all because there's so many in this release.
There has
That
been
was,
so many changes in the OTA 3. It's phenomenal.
yeah, it is incredible how much it is. It
Yeah.
is, man, yeah. So I will stop there because else I would use the rest of the stream to go through everything. So that's some of the the kind of highlights. Um, but then let's do an exercise on what do we want to see on OTF4. Um, since we now have seen what's released and what do we want in the next release. What did you see as the big thing in OTF4, Alfred?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe improvements regarding hardware accelerated video decoding in the browser, which I see Rajanan also having done a great job at taking a stab at, and making sure that my patches, my first round patches, get improved way beyond what I saw in the first round. So I'm looking forward to that and making sure that video playback in the browser is as smooth as with other operating systems out there. So that's what the most tangible one, so to say, that I can come up with. But other than that, it's just planning ahead for the future and making sure that things like Snap support work and other more experimental things until they become the default, right? Not saying that
Yeah,
Snaps become default, but Wayland integration, Wayland driver integrations, whatnot, they all play hand in hand in this whole scenario where everything needs to work tightly together. And that's, I think we're improving on that front as well.
for sure, for sure.
What do you
One of
think?
the
What Marius? If I may return the favor, what would you like to see improving in OTA 4? Is there anything special to you that you might want to see improved here?
well, maybe maybe some of the things that I've been working on, for example, 5G, and I I,
Yeah,
I, would, I would love to see VLTE in this next release, but uh, let's keep that one.
socks free, huh?
Yeah, that might be way too much of a stretch, but if it happens, that would be truly amazing. Uh, but again, that really depends on how the development goes and how much roadblocks. Because right now we are in a kind of a roadblock because we can't figure out how to set up the component we are trying.
Right.
Uh, so, but also I want to see Fairphone 5 in support. This is also something I've been working on. So maybe I'm a little bit selfish and just listing the things that I have been working on. But I
And
would
no,
love
that's
a little bit.
isn't that the fun thing?
Yeah, but I would
Lots
also
of
love to see Snap support.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We can only talk about the things that we care about because we do them, right? So
Yeah,
that also would be an invitation to anybody who is live right now to also let us know what you would like to see during the next OTA or OTAs. No specific questions to the very specific ports, of course, but if you want to jump into this discussion, just go ahead.
yeah. And also, if there's something you want in, and you also want to help develop, or you have an idea that you want to implement,
Mhm.
send us a pull request. Then we can
Yeah,
get it into to OTA 4.
definitely, definitely.
Uh, all right. So since we now have used uh, up our time on the new section, um, let's move swiftly over to the sponsors, shall we?
There we go. We do have some interesting banners here that we should put to use. Would you start with the names?
Yeah, I seem to have lost my pad, so
There we go.
I,
Or maybe
I
I should do it. Maybe I should give it a shot.
okay, I have it now.
Okay, there you go.
So let's start with the sponsors. So we have Smooth, Voila, and Pine64. And infrastructure sponsor we have DigitalOcean, Cloud Run, Netlify, and Gandhi.net. And from Patreon, and here's where I'm gonna fail pronouncing these names, but I will try my best. So we have Heater Ellsworth, Christian Yarkel, Rondos, Spenderhouse, TK, Kenneth Drew, Daniel Fretchcock, Robin Hood, Atil, Tifsy Son, Gardner and Associate Consultant Inc., Tiska, Yete, Yeti, and Will Atwood. If you want me to pronounce your name completely wrong, just head over to Patreon or select slash Ubiport/donate.
That was a great one. That was close to not having the ship sink too for too long, but we reached the land again with the ship sinking with a hole in its bottom.
I think that's That's the added bonus. If you donate, you can get someone on the internet to pronounce your name wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
That I would pay for that.
Yeah.
Uh, so let's move to some forum questions.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to start on that?
Yeah, sure. So we take these approximately like 5 days before starting the show, and this time we have one from Kadeem regarding app development. My desktop OS is Linux Mint, which currently only goes to version 21.2. Will this be a problem when compiling apps once 2404 releases? Similarly, will the clickable format become obsolete once Snap is fully integrated? Well, to the first question, no, your compile tool change shouldn't be affected too much because it's all running in Docker. So it's all built using a Docker container that contains all the build tools, which means you only need a handful of Python dependencies on your host, and that's it. I've also started work on snapping up the clickable tool itself. So you could, in theory, take a snap only desktop version of Ubuntu and install clickable into that using a snap package. So there are certainly ways that this should stay compatible with whatever distribution you currently run, as long as it has Docker installed. The second one regarding snaps deprecating click packages, I don't think that's the case, at least not for now. There shouldn't be any worry that we are going to leave click packages out of the picture for the foreseeable future. But then again, who knows what happens and who knows how things get integrated. So yeah, I don't think there's much of a plan of replacing clicks at the moment though. So yeah.
No, I think that there would just be additional formats and not replacement.
Yeah. And also due to the way that Snapd handles all those Snap packages, it's quite familiar for the app developer because it's also running in a confined environment. And all the apps that usually run in a Snap environment, they very much reflect what a click application can expect, so to say. So the compatibilities are still there. So I don't think that we will, just because we have two tool chains there, like, or two packaging formats there, that it would mean that we would have to deprecate one. So I think having a few options here is good. So
Yeah.
that's where it goes.
And also, we really want to deliver a good user experience. I think that's the most important aspect of this, of having it work as best as possible.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't think deprecating click is a good user experience at all.
Yeah.
Not now.
Then again, snaps also solve the issue of all those lost like Xenial applications that are not getting forward ported at the moment.
Yeah.
So with one packaging format might have a different strength over the other, but then again, what we want to provide on a operating system level, on a user experience level, has to matter most, and for that, clicks just provide the best experience at the moment.
Yeah. That is true, and we can able to even make apps that was made for Xenial that could have worked on Focal right now if we had Snap.
Right.
Or the other way around, we can have applications that only work for Qt 6
Mhm.
work on the desktop right now. So
Right.
that is a huge benefit with Snap and Flatpak, these kinds of packaging formats, where they are independent of the system versions and libraries.
Mm.
Okay, we'll head over to the next question then. Oh, I'm okay.
I think the one by Mr. T 10,001 would be interesting to read. Should I take that one?
Yes, I can take it.
Okay.
From Mr. T 1001, can we update the list of devices as they seem out of date? I have two Xiaomi Redmi Note 7 running focal quite happily for me, and they aren't on a focal list.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, we can update it, and for that we would please request someone to do it and send the pull request or the merge request over on GitLab. I
yep,
mean, the updating the devices page is very easy for outside contributors as well. So it, even though the port maintainers might not have all the time available at their disposal, that's something that outside contributors could help, especially those who test those devices extensively, to contribute to the project, so to say, right?
yeah. It's all done in uh, in config files, so you don't have to edit any sort of HTML or anything.
Right.
You add a config file and define everything that you want to do, and it's really nice to do. And it's a quite a fun task to do, because if you haven't done any type of contributing before, it would be a really nice first step to do also.
Okay. Yeah. I think we should head over to the next question then, right?
Yep.
Okay, the next one is from Coffee Catherine, and that is, hi, who is an expert I can talk to who knows exactly detail of what Android components remain after installation and what those components are capable of doing? Well, the components of a regular Android-based device are the Android drivers, and those are located in the vendor partition, so to say, or the vendor partition, not only so to say, but that's what it's called most of the time. And what it does is provide all the hardware integration pieces that run inside of a container, and that container is secured away privilege wise from the rest of the system, from the host, so that privileged operations don't necessarily affect the host, so that malicious applications inside of the container can't escape out and do various things. I mean, they are certainly capable of doing things, but that's because we need them to do things like draw onto the screen and stuff like that. So what we call Halium integrates those pieces, those vendor drivers into the mix, and you can find more about it on halium.org.
Yep.
That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Then I will get one from Auam. What about creating some crowdfunding/bounty action for anyone who does VLT? Not only people from the community could implement those kind of stuff, and uh, the result would be open source, then also usable for Droidian. This is actually a good idea. I mean, we could get a whole team together to work on this and research it, because we are on a stage where a lot of the poking around is just poking in a black box, and if we have more people poking in a black box, the result might come up earlier, because we usually it is just finding these small things. It might even be as like a settings or something like that that we need to set correctly, but we need to find it, and it is to as I said, poking in a black box sometimes.
Mm.
um so so having more people in there and having some funding to do it would be absolutely amazing, and also working together with people from Droidian would be a great. Then we have even more people working on it, because they have similar issues as we have, if not the same issue that we have around this area, and also the same goes for Sailfish OS, except for the Sony ones, which has the closed source driver. But for any community port on Sailfish also has the same problem.
Mm. It is what it is. We all suffer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there is, what else do we have here in the news? Any news about assisted GPS support in Focal by Naomi?
So this is planned in the scope, and the plan is to start it within the next week, on the project the what we did the OTA 4 project. So we hope to get it into OTA 4. So it is planned and on its way.
So Capsia also has a question here about plans regarding 2404. Now that upstream Ubuntu is already releasing daily builds, will we also have a development build for Ubuntu Touch 2404? And will it be released on the same day as upstream?
So this one is something we also want to work really hard on. The reason why we haven't set up daily builds yet, because we want to wait for some of the components from Ubuntu to stabilize, so we don't introduce a lot of noise into our build environment. But we are getting ready to set up that, and we are planning to add those building as fast as we know that there won't be any huge disruptive updates from the Ubuntu base. And then we do really want to release Ubuntu Touch at the same day as upstream. That is the goal for that, and we really want to achieve that. So with this, we have done a lot of work upstreaming things to like renaming and all that we did in Focal, but also uploading to Debian and getting everything into Debian, which then syncs to Ubuntu. So it means that all of like 95% of our components are already in Ubuntu, and this is a huge benefit for us, because then building on top of 2404 will be much simpler, and we really hope to release at the same time as Canonical and finally be on par with LTSs.
Well, there we go. There is one last question in the forums, and that is by Stanwood. Hello. To install UT on a device, it is very often necessary to downgrade the Android version to the same one as the Halium port before starting the installation. This is often tedious for many users. Will it be possible in the future to integrate those low-level Android partitions into the installer and allow to flash Ubuntu Touch completely and directly without having to reinstall a super old version of Android? Thank you very much. Well, no, and that is simply because the vendor partition and all the vendor pieces are mostly non-redistributable. So you cannot just take those binaries and ship them with whatever version of Android you want to ship it with, or in our case, with Ubuntu Touch. You can't just go ahead and do those license-wise. So there is a strict separation here. And also, it doesn't really make sense because the test scenario for the porter needs to be as flat as possible, in the sense that they don't want to test it with various bootloader versions, because I've seen those people doing it, or those who had to do it because they thought they could just flash one random Android version and then install Ubuntu Touch on top of that, and it didn't work out, and it caused even more problems. So just bite the bullet and downgrade to whatever Android version that is necessary. And it's not about the software being tedious to install, it's about hardware manufacturers are very often being unreasonable to deal with. So
Yeah.
unlocking a device might take days until you get a unlock code or something else happening along those lines. So it's very little about what we can do. It's more like what what the manufacturers and the software providers that we depend on, that they do a good job. So for that matter, we have devices with a star next to them on the devices page, and you should get those if you really want something that is tried and true and tested and battle tested, that gets you installed very quickly in that way. And yeah, Rajnan brings up a very important point. The installer can request the user to download the firmware or stock ROM archive externally, and then the installer can flash them on user's behalf. That is true. That's actually what we do with the Sony Xperia X, where we just link to the download page of where you can get the binaries, and you just download them, and the installer just unpacks them and flashes them automatically for you. So it depends on the device that you want to accomplish this with. But newer Android versions right now, I mean, if people provided some device configurations for the installer to do that, I'm pretty sure people would use it to make it easier. But right now, it's very seldomly used.
And also the big problem is also manufacturers don't usually just like many providers don't or manufacturers don't just list old Android versions, and they are often hard to get, and you have to
Yeah,
scatter some XDA for them to find some 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 downloads. So it is this is what really benefits of having choosing a vendor that's usually very open
yeah,
about this. Like for example, the Pixel lines are usually very easy to get older
mhm,
versions, and Fairphone is easier to get it, and even easier you can just get a Vodafone which has it pre-installed.
right.
You can skip the whole thing, but many very like for example. Um, I know Sony devices is a bit tricky. You have to use their own tool, and that only works on Windows, and it is that is a bit tricky. Uh,
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it is what it is, and certain devices are better suited for what you want to do with Ubuntu Touch than others. So please choose wisely.
yeah, yeah. That this is also out of our control, most of it, because it is
Right.
legal reasons and also what manufacturers do.
Right.
Uh, I have a actually a question to to Policy Kit or Polkit that you made
Yeah.
from my name. Is it able to use fingerprint?
Not right now. No, it's not in there yet, but it certainly is an idea that has been thrown around. So I don't know. It might appear, it might not appear, but it certainly is something that would improve the experience very much because it could go through biometric D, for example, which is a system component that handles fingerprint authentication, basically.
Yeah. And here's another one from YouTube live chat is from P51. Is it possible to get some astronomy science app like access to Gaia data? This one is interesting. And I think to get some of those apps, I think Snap is probably the way to go. And I think
Mm.
many of those are already packaged as Snap. So once Snap support lands, I think those are easily just installable. Of course, they might be a little bit not made for Ubuntu Touch, like a small form factor. That might be a huge, but in theory, you can run them.
Mm. Yeah. By the way, regarding Snaps, something that I completely forgot to mention. I actually am in the process of upgrading Snapstore now,
Oh,
which also is about to. Let's just put brightness down enough. So we have Snapstore, the Snap Store enabler, also providing Snap Store capabilities now. So you can, for example, just tap an application, you press the install or the remove button, it asks for your password, and then you can manage your snaps using a graphical user interface. This might come out soonish on the open store, I hope. I am not putting any promises out right now, but um, I will like to I would like to make this as bulletproof as possible, and it's not as bulletproof as it could be right now. So you can easily not break your device, but break the experience of installing and removing applications very quickly. That doesn't seem to work properly yet, but it's something on the horizon that I want to continue pursuing. So yeah, just a heads up there. I might show off some more Snapster in the future.
ooh, exciting!
So there's another question by Nick Mel. Hello, I just installed Ubuntu Touch on the Google Pixel 3a. What can I do to help? Well, what depends on what you are experienced in and what bugs you about the system. So I would say just give it a little like testing phase, like a little bit of time. Get used to it, and things that you don't get used to easily. Maybe you can propose a change here.
Yeah,
So,
and also if you have Telegram, please just join the development group if you're into development, and and usually they ask around there if you have any questions, and also the forum is a great place to get started. There's also translations and a lot of different tasks to do. So
Oh yeah.
please just join us, and uh, we will get redirect you to the expertise that you have.
Well,
Yeah, I think today will be a shorter episode.
yeah, definitely. I mean, we're 14 minutes in, so
Yeah,
that
it's not
was
that short.
it's not that short anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you, Maris, as always. And
Yes.
thanks to everyone listening and watching and tuning in. So, this was episode 128. Gosh, we're getting old, huh?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's many episodes.
that's many episodes. Man, I mean, get some popcorn and enjoy one of those 127 other episodes.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see each other until next time then. So until then, take care and
Okay.
bye bye.
Bye bye.
And stream.